ABBA, Agape. Part 1. January 20th, 2019. Testimonials, questions and answers. Beloved and loved by love and in love of the beloved, dear Abbas, in these days of celebration of the fusion of the Thes, may peace, love and joy be your abode of eternity. In the heart of each Abba, your presence and your absence are combined, in the same serenity and in the same truth. Let us settle down for a few moments in the presence and in the light. Let us celebrate life and joy in this way. Let us settle together in the perpetual Agape, in order to celebrate communion and resurrection, at a time when more and more of you are rediscovering yourselves in the simplicity of childhood, where truth is perfection, and where evidence takes you into the dance of joy that is celebration. The light has invited you to be what you are, light yourselves, shining within the density and lightening any density. In each and every one of us, as soon as the celebration is there can be no doubt about the veracity of your being in John being, where everything becomes precisely this dance of evidence and this state that can never be subtracted or even amputated. In every moment of these days when you are given the totality of who you are, restoring you to this liveness, beyond my words and beyond your words, the celebration becomes a bonfire, where joy comes to prevail over the disorders of this world. In this Agape that we are creating at this moment, we are invited to the reciprocity of embracing, to the reciprocity of joy and to the tangible manifestation of love passing through every person and on every side, which can still be opposed or resisted, then illuminating the scene of your life, for beyond any explanation and justification, in the nakedness of who you are, before after everything. Celebration by the words and in the silence of your presence, in this ineffable joy of finding ourselves in the same unity, in the same communion. So, if you accept it, every day and every hour, the celebration is manifested by the smile and the evidence of your presence. Each of you gives and embraces, with the same intensity and joy, where nothing can affect this unspeakable happiness, where you find yourself, without being amputated or veiled. More and more of you are revealing the truth, where there is no longer any need for explanations, words or images, but simply to let what has always been and will always be, beyond form, your intrinsic nature and your essence, be. Whatever the sense, whatever the images or visions, only love remains as a point of support, as a point of emergence and resurgence of what has been so buried and forgotten. It is in this sense that life becomes celebration, that life becomes restitution and permanent gift. As more and more of you are living it, seeing it, and therefore having an understanding of it, it is in the total stripping of all vision, all projection and all perception, that the beauty of great silence is revealed to you and to the world. This is the most obvious action, through your silence and presence, that establishes in this world the celebration preceding the event. Each of you is invited to the banquet of the celebration, where the living water cannot be lacking and where everything that seemed to be lacking is full. In this state of space and not time, there is only evidence, allowing grace to cover each of your movements, each of your thoughts, as well as each of your looks. And this is a celebration, without ritual and without office, in the ether of your heart, revealing the majesty and helens of the revealed light, that of your presence, leading you to overcome, without effort and without work, the fragmented visions of the habits of this world. May it be through your eyes, through your hands, through your gazes as well as through your interiority, that the majesty of love is unfolded in its totality. A particular pacification is emerging in you, giving you to sit, with increasing ease, the manifestation in this world of your eternity. By celebrating life, by celebrating love, everything becomes magic, everything becomes a sign and everything is an opportunity to celebrate the truth, bringing lightness to take the place of all suffering and pain, whether it is in you or anywhere on the surface of the earth. The celebration of the fusion of the Thes occurring in these days fills you with joy, from the moment you perceive the uselessness of any questioning, as the uselessness of any reaction, pacifying down to the most intimate of yourselves. This freedom, from within and without, can no longer be thwarted by any constraint of the habits of this world, thus discovering, at every minute, at every breath, at every glance, that you are that. The meaning of my words and the meaning of your presence does not need justification, because it is right and it is seen, thus crossing all the disorders of this world as possible disorders, being solved in you by the action of grace and the action of life, carried by the intelligence of light and love. In this unconditional surrender to your own eternity, you lighten the weight of this world, working then in the workshops of life, in the workshops of creation, as well as in the workshops of lifting the last veils, where you become what you really are, not being subjected to any dream of creation or to any evolution. Because perfection does not have to evolve, but simply to be restored. It is now and it is every day. The intelligence of the light leads you to yourselves, no matter what you say, no matter what you question. Words are only the rhythm of the breath of light that harmonizes and fluidizes everything that is happening right now on the screens of the world, as well as on your character's screen. Joy and dance, witnesses of your joy, joy that itself is the witness of true love in this agape. Peace is emerging and peace is complete, covering all suffering. Beyond the sometimes painful lighting, you will notice in these days that what was painful is consumed in that fire of joy and the fire of bliss, from the moment you embrace, from the moment you accept. Silence. At this moment of our common presence at the heart of truth, the emanation of our presences shines throughout this planetary sphere, but also throughout creation, resonating in the atmosphere of the earth, spreading the good news, constantly accompanied by the songs of the peoples of the sea, celebrating with you the resurrection and freedom, lightening with each breath a little more the density of your life, magnifying it and transmitting it. In the brightness of your eyes and in the brightness of your smile, there is no trace of perversion, no trace of duality. Life will now commit you to celebrating every minute and in every circumstance. For beyond all appearance and all that passes, you remain immutable, right here in this world, present in your eternity and in the eternity of your presence. Our words are no longer teaching, but declaiming the truth in any way possible, whatever the condition that cannot curb the momentum of life and the momentum of agape. No justification or explanation in this world can be ignored or dissatisfied by the truth of your presence, of your radiance, but also of your embrace. This celebration concerns not only the constituent atoms of this world as any form of life. Fa told you that, today you are living it. This is reflected and marked in your flesh, as in every measure of what can be measured in this world, demonstrating the very uselessness of the need to measure love, because love is never measured and never compared. Each occasion and each glance of your life, as with each breath, reveals the majesty of what has always been and has been forgotten. In the majesty of silence, ideas and thoughts cannot persist, leading you to eternal emptiness where only bliss is the only destination that does not need movement or displacement, but simply from that silence itself, for everything comes from it and everything returns to it. Whatever the density that was yours, in any problem within your life as well as in any interaction, whether in the residual sufferings of this body, in any past injury, are illuminated and consumed, liberating in totality the love that does not need to be enclosed in any suffering or in any resistance. The surrender of the planetary ego is done in joy, even if for this reason, within this world, the appearance of violence can sometimes disturb you, but can no longer alter you, whatever you say, whatever you think. The truth of this experience appears more and more clearly to you, putting an end collectively to doubts and uncertainties about the future of life beyond any form. If you pay attention, by embracing more and more, life will lead you to the sanctuary of eternity, so that this radiance cannot be stopped by some ephemeral circumstance or some dramatic event of appearance, lived within this world. Whatever happens, and as has been announced, everything is only a pretext to liberate what was not yet free, everything is only a pretext to live the fullness of agape, revealing ABBA agape in you, where no framework and no limits can stand between you and the truth, and between each of us present on the surface of this world, far beyond the human species. For this celebration concerns both invisible peoples and every conscience, in whatever form, on the surface of this world. The animals of this world, so named, as plants, and as Fadium has stated to you, show themselves today in their majesty, and thus demonstrating, in the eyes of everyone, that life cannot be constrained beyond a certain stage, thus crossing all the barriers of misunderstanding and all the limits of predation. At this very moment, wherever you are on this earth and at this precise hour when we embrace each other, the unveiling of the light illuminates in an increasingly abrupt way this naked love and shows you clearly, and gives you to live in every possible way, whether by the vibrational, or by the energy, or by your dancing steps, by your songs or by your silences, that's the truth to be more and more tangible and dense within this density. And you see, as has already been the case for many months, but perhaps more intensely and tightly, that nothing can be left to chance in your life, as in any part of this world. For all is enlightened, for all is revealed, leading you not to confrontation, but much more to forgiveness and acceptance, for you are none of these things, for you are what has never passed, and will never pass. In the eternal I, your presence and absence, being and non-being, are combined in the same symphony, declaiming the beauty of love. No resistance, of any origin, can be maintained. The fire of love, the igneous fire of grace, freely travels through this world, knocking at every door, at every heart, in every kingdom and in every event. The advent of the light in its completeness puts an end to the events to give way to great silence. Countless signs in you and from all over this world are knocking on your door, so that no more doors will have to be opened, because no more doors can remain closed. Silence. The miracle of love becomes incessant. The miracle of love becomes natural right here, in the midst of the images of this world, as well as of all that has been occulted and hidden, calling, I remind you once again, for forgiveness and grace, and not for the struggle to claim to act by yourselves. The allegiance to the light that you are is in fact only the allegiance to yourself, for it is by forgiving that you are forgiven and that you grasp that ultimately, on the other side of the ultimate veil, there is nothing to forgive, because everything is accomplished and the dream disappears from your perceptions and your sequences. Heaven has joined earth and earth joins heaven to perform the miracle of a single thing, in the one consciousness, where for eternity depends neither a kingdom, nor on a community, nor on a belief, but recognizes itself in the same life, in its various manifestations and forms, in its various reigns present on this earth. All of nature accompanies your ascension, which shows you that you do not need to move or project yourself elsewhere than in the eternal present moment, thus consuming the last desires of consciousness in any future whatsoever, for everything has already come and everything has already been done, allowing you to exercise freedom within this world itself, whether it is obviously within you, but also, if you accept it without fear and without hesitation, to be free from any contingency and from any link to this world, in any obligation or justification that until now could still restrict you. Freedom cannot be restricted, love cannot be amputated, it can only be full and complete, it can only be a form of culmination of what has never moved and has always been there. It is this that covers what may remain of elements of habits, habits in form, habits in separate vision. For the vision becomes one, showing you by the joy of your heart and conscience, in the truth of the manifestation here and now. Everything is one and everything is the one. This achieves Agape without you having to search for or wait for anything of any kind. The waiting is over because the restitution is being made and is being completed in these days of today, in this present moment, which is the eternal moment. By combining being and non-being, in the same dance and in the same gaze, the radiance of your eternity can only consume everything that can be opposed, inside and outside, to the integral restitution of the truth of love. There is no inconvenience linked to the bodily circumstances of your incarnation, which can today be maintained or subsist before this fire of love consuming the ultimate illusions, the ultimate projections and the ultimate battles that you still think you may still be carrying out inside yourself as well as on the surface of this world. And it nourishes you, in truth, in an abundance that no money or possession can approach. So is the freedom that is not of this world. In this fraternity and in this equality, everything happens. Because everything has already happened and nothing needs to be done. You do not have to move, you simply have to dance the evidence of life, in all possible ways and in all possible ways, not by an effort of demonstration, but only by the unconditional acceptance of everything that passes through you in the body as in consciousness, as in thoughts, where there is nothing to justify, where there is nothing to prove, because the evidence shows through, whatever the residual density of the body or your last thoughts, as well as your last conditioning, where there is no longer a frame, where the impossible becomes possible at every moment, where the magic of life comes to celebrate in you, through vibration, silence and what can be manifested to your gaze, the same unity. The celebration concerns, of course, all peoples, as I said, and also all kingdoms. This celebration also involves celebration with the peoples of the stars, with confederation, beyond any archetype, ancestry and hierarchy. So, on an equal footing, from heart to heart, everything comes to light so that no night can continue. Each of you is invited to sweetness, each of you is invited to this fullness that suffers no lack or distance. Where the ultimate veils of convenience, of adherence to any role, whether social or spiritual, give you that lightness that no master, no god and no archetype can measure. For perfection unfolds, putting an end to any feeling of imperfection, injustice or misunderstanding. It is a celebration of every breath, it is a celebration in any appearance. At this very moment, the Agape celebration unfolds with majesty in the heart of each one who welcomes, without restraint and without reticence, the beauty of the unknown. The light guides your steps, the light guides your thoughts, the light illuminates your eyes. A light that does not come from anywhere but from yourselves, where there is no savior, for everything is already saved, where there is no need for any words, for silence envelops your words in the perfume and essence of truth. In that majesty, you are nothing of this world, and yet you are the whole of this world too. Do not see any paradox, but simply the same truth. Do not be stopped by any element of this world as by any element of your past, for you are nothing of what happened, for you are not the consequence of any past. Thus is the freedom of the eternal present moment, conjugating with your eternal I in the same round of bliss, where bliss is laughed at any convenience as well as any thought or decency. No convention and no innuendo can be maintained, bringing clarity to your words where words become word, actualizing the spirit in each word spoken. Because beyond the word, there is the essence of the word that accompanies them in the heart of each person's heart, where nothing needs to be filtered or even discriminated against. Because love never discriminates, because love never classifies, because love does not need organization, because love does not need to be directed, because love does not need to be framed or even explained. Do you need to explain to this world how you walk? No, you walk. There is no need for understanding, there is certainly a need for learning, at the initial moments of your incarnation. The same is true for love, no need for organization, no need for discrimination, no need for measurement, because love is never measured. Love cannot be counted, or even measured, in any way. Full so is the celebration of Agape, in the resonance of hearts, escaping time and the notion of distance, the crystic matrix and its igneous fire, consumed from everywhere, as you observe it, what only passes through and what only gives you the impression of freezing. Love can never be frozen, love can never be wrapped up, love does not need a setting, it does not need you or me. For it is from this love that the form is born, because it is from this spontaneous love gushing out beyond the source that creation manifested itself, like a dream, which was to enrich what was already rich in nature. Thus all falsity is consumed with joy, and joy from the moment you accept it fully, unconditionally and without restraint. Softness is the balm of all violence. This gentleness of welcome, which is the very essence of the sacred feminine, as well as of conscious co-creation, allows you to put an end to the separation of the sexes, to the notion of complementarity as well as to the vital need of any nature whatsoever. A new freedom, even in this world, which is going through the throes of its latest control needs, can no longer limit or restrict you, as soon as you accept it. Because love is acceptance, in the same way that it is gift and restitution. It is free of all forms, it is free of all worlds and all dimensions, as Fadiem told you. This is, in a way, a form of trust, not in history, not in any future, but in the moment lived, within the here and now. Everything else is done by itself, everything else does not need you, but passes through you. This is why you have been told to let yourself be crossed and to cross everything that may seem to resist, on the screen of the world as well as on the screen of your body. Because from the trust in who you are and who maybe you is still unknown, flows the ultimate unveiling, which needs neither your person, nor the slightest vibration, nor the slightest perception, but simply to accept the evidence and dance in it. Indeed, you must let yourself be carried away by the grace of life, you must let yourself be carried away by this joy, and joy that needs no justification or demonstration, but simply to be embraced and crossed. The whole earth now resonates as soon as one of you celebrates Agape, dancing the life that dances it, then all the universes participate in it, from the highest dimensions of creation to the dimension of the earth, ending any distance, even between dimensions, ending any specific framework of each dimension. Freedom cannot be arranged or even organized. From the moment you accept this spontaneity in your life, you will notice that life will do everything to satisfy you, not only in relation to your last needs related to incarnation, but also to satisfy you in Agape, where the lack becomes even completeness, in some appearance of lack in your experience on this world. No story and no plan can be maintained with regard to total love and free of any condition, in Agape resonance and Agape celebration. From the highest heavens to the deepest parts of the earth, the same resonance and communion, celebrating your resurrection, ending death, ending deprivation. The celebration, too, is spontaneous, here too, from the moment when the unconditional acceptance of what takes place even within the ephemeral, can only show you the beauty inherent in life, despite all appearances and thoughts as well as all suffering. Silence. The Agape celebration takes you beyond your questioning and lets you to declare the beauty of love in all possible and accessible ways, in your mind and on this world. Such is the truth, such is the ease of love. Silence. The white paradise covers this world, apparently freezing, with the cold and white that reveal the heat, in order to put a real and concrete end to the heat and cold in your flesh. First of all, whatever the manifestations of intense heat or cold experienced during the course of your days, which are only the balancing and annihilation of hot and cold, the alternation of shadow and light, illustrated by your days and nights, and it is within the coldest night that the truth arises, even for those who have opposed it, by ignorance or by will. It is in the depths of the night that spring is reborn, it is in the depths of your heart, like any suffering, that the light appears to your eyes and senses. The results are permanent and depend only on your acceptance, and depend only on your laziness, not wanting to understand, not wanting to explain, but simply to witness in countless ways, this celebration of Agape. It is where you meet yourselves, as you meet each other. This is where there can no longer be the slightest distance, nor the slightest judgment, but simply the liveness of the dance, simply the evidence of joy. At this moment, from everywhere in all universes, which even escape time and space, this is revealed on this earth, fulfilling prophecies, fulfilling, as you have lived individually in an increasingly extensive way, the oath and promise, not only for the awakened and those who are liberated, but as has been said, for all creation, as well as for all the kingdoms present on this earth. Heaven has married earth and earth has married heaven, again, to perform the miracle of one thing, where nothing has ever been separated or divided, and where nothing can be missing. As you were many months ago, you can see today that each of your words, each of your testimonies as well as each of your experiences led the whole of life to appear more and more clearly with more and more evidence and lucidity, with more and more certainty. This certainty, which does not depend on any fact, explanation or even faith, but simply on your presence, going through all the disorders that are still apparent, perhaps from the elements of your person or your life, putting a real and concrete end to your life and your person, where there is no hunger, where there is no death. In this beatitude that grows at every moment, as soon as you accept it, there can be no doubt whatsoever as to the fact and truth that love depends neither a dimension, nor on any creation, nor on any evolution. But this love that you has allowed the dream of creation to come true. We are all a part of it, without exception. But the time has come for the new dawn, one that is not accompanied by any death, nor any end of light, nor any alternation in any way whatsoever. Silence. Each of you is invited, with the same intensity and frankness, to let the intelligence of the light be experienced, for there is no precondition except the point of view of embracing. If you accept without restriction and without filtering any of your entire life, even in its most painful or suffering aspects, then you will find that there is no longer any reason to suffer or lack, because love nourishes in a real and concrete way, much more effectively than the foods of this world, in any aspect whatsoever. Silence. In this celebration of Agape, it will now be time to listen to what each of you allows you to express, whether through questions that are still present, or above all, through the witness of the moment, lived in our common company. You're each invited, beyond any questioning itself, even if there are any, to come and celebrate this intense moment of the day with a few words. Then, each of us, at this moment when we are in resonance, will be able to see that each word spoken by each of you in each questioning as in each testimony, leads to the same happiness and the same intensity of the celebration. So, beloved Abbas, it is time for me, in this first part of this celebration, to listen to what you have to say. Do it without blush or decoy, without any restriction, because in the spontaneity of your words, as well as your statements, there is obviously the unconditional acceptance of the truth. This is the demonstration we are going to make of it, not for a need of demonstration, but for a need to fully deploy this Agape celebration that has begun. So you're invited to the celebration banquet with a few or many words, whatever, but I invite each of you present in this small assembly, to come and speak to the assembly about life on earth. Do not prepare any words and let what is coming come, from the moment you have come into the space where I stand, to say what comes out and what needs to manifest itself. So, I invite you to this round of love, so that everyone may bring their food as food to the world. Because what you give is instantly returned to you, and you will see it more and more often and in an iterative and permanent way. Then, beloved, do not put any more distance and no more thoughts, but simply come and express either your silence, or your few words, or many words, but do not limit yourself in any way, for I remind you, and as I said, it is in your spontaneity that the embrace is made, independently of you, and this is how you welcome the whole of creation in an incredible and yet so true act of love, and yet which was unknown until then in this world, for it had been forgotten and buried. Then, I ask each Abba present, even if he has nothing to say, to come to me, whether by a word, whether by silence or by a word, in this restricted assembly, each of you must come and bring his stone of love and his gift of love, right here, at this moment. So, beloved, you're invited to come and take advantage of this means that is offered to you to share the joy and to unfold it. Have no hesitation, whatever he comes out of you, let him out by coming close to me. I will embrace you in me as you will embrace me in you, to do the miracle of one thing, not for us, present here in this assembly, but for the assembly of all the consciences of the earth. So, beloved, the first of you comes to our side, even if you have nothing to say, I invite you to silence, but also to be close. Then we begin. Voice. There is a sister there. Sister, in Portuguese. Beloved sisters, beloved brothers, you have to speak up. Sister, in Portuguese, stronger. Beloved sisters, beloved brothers, this impression is so strong, so wonderful, that there are no words. I can only say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You do not need to translate the words, because the words carry the word, they are the word. Whatever the language or whatever the silence is, it is a celebration. And I also give you thanks, for your words and your language, because these words, beyond the understanding, in the language you use, are imprinted in your heart by the evidence of the love carried by your words. And when you feel it, and only then, I invite you to give way to another heart of this assembly, so that everyone in this assembly can witness this celebration. Silence. Voice. A sister will speak. Sister, we're one. Vision of my heart. Silence. Each of you decides on the apparent duration, but each of you comes to celebrate. We can end to embrace. Silence. Sister, it's to actually testify to what I experienced during the boat trip, to go see the whales. It was already very strong the night before, in the connection with Fayem. In the morning, while leaving by car, a lot of emotion, and then, well, we arrived aboard the boat. I was part of the second group, and when I heard the first one go down, I thought to myself, well, whales, we're not going to see them. And somehow, it was good for me because, when I got on the boat, I thought to myself, well, there's something wrong if we wait for them so hard. Fayem and little Fee, well, I don't know what we call him. The little one, it could put them in danger. So, there were these thoughts going through me, telling me, it's not fair if we wait for them. If we wait for them too hard, it will put them in danger. And then I heard Isabel and LD singing La Paroda's Blank. Laughs, and then the tears came out, because for me it was very special, as it was the song I had chosen for Dad. And, it was the very last music that accompanied him before he was reduced to ashes, in fact. So there, tears came out, and at the same time it was very beautiful, because it was really a beautiful tribute for him. He was also a sailor. And one of the 3 pictures I brought with me from Belgium, he's at the helm of a boat and he's back from Ramsgate. It's an old picture, a little rough, with a coffee circle on the bottom right edge, but I took it because there was such a light in her smile that, well, it was so contagious that I took this picture. And so, at that stage of the sea trip, well, I found myself a little like the lip at the bow of the boat, legs overboard, face bathed in tears. But it was just beautiful, it was just, yes, those notes of white paradise that floated in the air, in the transparent air, like that, and then the light of the smile of Dad who was there, in the great blue sky, above me, and it became all smiles, like a wonder of wonders, but, it was just beautiful. And you won't believe me, but it's really at that very moment, not before, not after, it's at that very moment, that, for the sake of a little aquatic man, those dozens of dolphins arrived, dancing, playing, dancing, in a ballet that was just of a beauty, a purity, a perfection, a sweetness like no other, and right there then, explosion but, it doesn't look like that, but it was really an explosion but, of joy and love, of pure love, and just, well yes, that desire to dive into white paradise, where the nights are so beautiful, so long, that you forget the time, alone with the wind, to talk to the silverfish. Well, I'm not going to sing, because you might get tense rather than burst into joy. Laughs. Silence. Remember that, whatever the testimony or questioning, the answer is now silence and embrace. It's the only possible answer. It is sufficient in itself, because even if there is a question, the answer is understood in it, and it is the silence that reveals it and not my words or your words. But for this to happen, as you do, it must be expressed, so that it can be indelibly imprinted in the joy of your presence. Silence. Whispers. Sister, when I came here, really hoped to burst out laughing, and then finally, I have the impression that there were many tears that flowed, especially for me. I would like to be a fish in the water, I would like to be with them, and at the same time, they are with us. It's weird. I offer you my tears. I would have preferred to offer you my laugh, but right now, I can't. I love you. I love you. I love you and I love myself. Laughs. Same sister. Yes, it was successful. Laughs. Same sister. Forever. Silence. Laughs. Silence. Laughter and smiling are both understanding and restitution, as well as explanation. Laughter is the answer and it is inevitable. Silence. Sister, what a joy. Great exhale. Laughs. Same sister. Yes, ha 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 ha. While you were talking, there were the peoples of the sea, of the earth, of the stars, of the galaxies dancing, and everything comes together in a huge terrace, and the past as well as the present, everything is in its joy, ha-ya, and it's so simple. Silence. Same sister. She's a wonder. Laughs. Same sister. That's a happy smile. Laughs. Same sister. And what grace, what grace, what grace, what grace. Laughs. Laughter has an answer for everything. Laughter is the answer. Laughs. Silence. Laughs. Silence. Laughs. Silence. Brother, well, I'm coming to share my last tears of joy, my joy of being here, and thank you all. Thank you all, that's wonderful. Silence. Sister, already last night, when Jean-Luc took care of us, I had an impression, not immediately, not an impression, not the right word, I don't know the word, to be totally one skin with everyone. And now, how to say, first of all, inside me, there's a huge big thing, laughs, I don't know how to say it, because it's hard to give to explain, that's not only inside me, but also completely outside, as if there's a new substance, laughs, and that substance connects everyone here. So, at first, when it was calm, this substance was calm, and after that, it went into action, with crying, with laughter, and it feels like sea water, actually, moving, that's it. And so, I feel like we're all one skin. And it's extremely strong. So I would like it to be also one skin with the universe. And that, there you go. Silence. The great silence of the white paradise in the celebration of Agape. Beloved, where are we at? Voice. We still have time. So we continue. Silence. Sister, down. It's not coming out. Small laugh. Sister. The words are so senseless, so narrow, to talk about the white paradise. Since yesterday, when, during Muriel's song, the whale came back, imposed itself, merged. Finally, we have merged, and, since this morning, I feel again, my belly becoming immense, with a jouissance that reaches the heart, and a senseless love that fills, that extends, that invades to the ends of the universe, and I just want to tell you, I've become the white paradise, with the white paradise. Silence. Same sister. And the waters from above and the waters from below have gathered in our bodies, in our human bodies. And I want to tell you, but you realize that. Laughs. Same sister. And precisely, when everything comes together, but it is an explosion, an implosion of love, and everything is washed, all our old stories, but everything is washed, everything is, it no longer exists, all that. The white paradise washes whiter than white. Laughs. Come and wash your robes in the blood of the Lamb, he said. That's what you're going through. Celebration. Silence. In the same way that Christ said, "Let the children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them," in the same way, through the Christ matrix, you realize and live the same thing. He told you, "What I did, you will make even greater ones." We're in that time. We can continue. Sister, in Portuguese, thank you for always being with me. Thank you for never leaving me, even in the most difficult moments of my life when I didn't feel you. Thank you for the love I feel. Thank you for the angels around me. Gratitude. The essence and fragrance of white paradise is manifested for some of you. In the fragrance of the humility of the flower called violet, countless scents accompany the silence and majesty of the white paradise, delighting your senses in the ecstasy of perpetual jouissance that needs no one else, not even you. Such is freedom. Silence. Beloved, where are we, not in terms of time, but in terms of the number of brothers and sisters who have come here? Voice. Not everyone has yet spoken, but no one seems to be manifesting themselves. What? What? Voice. No one seems to be manifesting themselves to express themselves. A brother is coming. We have 10 minutes left. Before you take a break. Voice. Before the break, yes. So, if no one wants to express yet? Voice. A brother is there. A brother is there to express himself. Brother, I don't know how to really say all this, because it's a little strange. I would like to talk about paradox. There is me, there is the presence that a sister called the same skin, and there is an absence of perception, and all three can be experienced simultaneously, and yet, from time to time, I still have, from time to time, me saying, but, it is not possible. How it is possible, to live states that are so contradictory in my thinking and my thinking system, how there can be everything, nothing there, how I finally do less and less in my life, and how, however, on the surface, I do more and more things? Well, I have no answer to all that, because there is no answer. The only answer is, well, it's that joy or that silence, or even both at the same time, but despite the evidence of experiences or perceptions, there is still, again, that little beast trying to understand what is happening to him. And I finally find it so funny. Not all the time, of course, when it's the only one to express herself, well, it gives me a little trouble. But she usually has trouble expressing herself now. And so very, very quickly, it passes. Well, that's it, it's said. Laughs. Same brother. Well, no, it's not over. I would like to thank everyone absolutely, because this is the first time in my life that I feel comfortable with human beings. Big laughs. Same brother. Thank you very much. Beloved, I would still say a few words about what you have expressed, but which concerns the whole of creation. For many months now, I have been announcing that zero time is nothing more than the juxtaposition and fusion of the simulacrum and the sacred. You expressed it through your experience. But the proximity of the simulacrum and the sacred to zero time can indeed, for what remains of personality elements, be called a paradox. But a paradox, as you said, that is assumed and whose only answer is laughter. Because laughter is communion, laughter is sharing, because laughter naturally leads you to the truth, because laughter also reflects a complete and unconditional acceptance of what life is at the same time of what your life is. life and your life are combined in the same dance that I call the fusion of the simulacrum and the sacred, illuminating both sides of the same room, the same container and the same content, leading to this joy, this laughter, this evidence, this love, this forgiveness, this communion and this celebration. So yes, we can only laugh about it, not out of derision, but by an understanding that cannot be explained, but as you said, that can only be lived. And I give thanks for each of your words, for each of your silences, but also for each of your sufferings, given to the altar of love. Love is the solution. Everything that used to work in this world no longer works, as you can see. But you work there. The paradox is there. And the paradox is this resolution through laughter and joy, establishing for everyone the taste of white paradise, touching the collective of creation, in all the kingdoms of the earth, in every kingdom and dimension of creation, in every planetary sphere, in every sun. No, you are not dreaming, you are coming out of the dream, and your celebrations, whether here or everywhere, obviously affect the illusion, show its fatuity, its inconsistency and, above all, its falsity. But there is no rejection through this, because the paradox, the simulacrum and the sacred, meet beyond creation, in the Parabrahman, in the Absolute, prior to creation. Love is only the manifestation will of the Absolute. It is the support, it is the driving element, but also the resultary element. End of the dream, time to wake up, you're awake. In fact, you've never slept, you've just been dreaming. And that's what belongs to you. And how not to laugh about it, whatever the paradox is. Laughter today is resultary, not only for the circumstances of this world, but as you can already see, in the ultimate reluctance as in the ultimate suffering, for no suffering and no reluctance can be maintained in the burst of laughter of life and in the laughter of love. So maybe we'll take a break now. Celebration, Agape, ABBA's celebration, FAM, in the song of the resurrection that sings in the ear and especially that is heard by the heart. This is how the paradox laughs at itself, this is how you solve the equation that has never existed anywhere but in your questions. Laughter is the answer. In love and truth, may peace, joy and laughter take up all space and time, in order to be satisfied and satisfy creation. Peace. Peace. Agape. Assembly. Agape. Through Jean-Luc Ayoun. Les Transformations. Transcription from French. Equip Agape. English translation. LMF.